Hi, good Bat Neighbor community. Jen here, wrapping up Bat Week with a Halloween edition of our Friday feature special, where we're joined by folks from around the world who are helping bats. Joining us today from, let me get this, Llanddona. Let me try that again. Llanddona, in North Wales, is bat conservation royalty. We're really excited to have her, the former chair of the UK's Bat Conservation Trust, and now the chair of the Gwynedd Bat Group, Jean Matthews. Hi, Jean. How you
Hi.
doing?
Hi. Great. Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Or I guess it more appropriate for Welsh, the Welsh version of Halloween. Let me try this. Noson Galan Gaeaf. Did I
Yeah,
get that close? Okay.
I am.
Um, which is even older than Halloween. So really cool going back to ancient Celtic beliefs regarding the dark half of the year. So we're going to talk a little bit about that before we get into our batness. Um, Jean, do you want to tell us about the aisle that you're joining us from, and
Yeah.
maybe some of the spooky lore surrounding that?
Yeah. I'm up in North Wales, which is the very northwest part of the country on a little island. It's got two bridges to it, so it doesn't always feel like an island, except when the bridges are closed in the high winds a couple of weeks ago, and then it did feel like we were on an
Oh
island.
gosh!
But
Oh,
it's quite a big place. But it's a very old history. There's lots of ancient monuments around. There's burial chambers, one of which is called Bar Clodio de Gaurus, which means the giantess's apron full. And it's
oh,
supposed to be stones that were thrown over from Ireland, I think.
oh
And
my!
where I live in the village of Llanddona, it has a rich history of witchcraft.
Oh
And
wow!
as far as I know, there aren't any active witches here, but maybe they just keep themselves below the radar.
Yeah.
The house we live in, we bought it 30 years ago from a lady who said she was a witch.
Oh
And when we
wow!
came to look at the house, she wasn't there. And I came back, phoned her later, and she said, "Did you notice anything about the house?" And I said, "No, why?" She said, "Oh, I put a presence on it while I wasn't there." So it's that kind of place, really.
Oh wow!
So
Very cool.
the story of the witches of Llanddonna is that there was a boat that came. It's a really big bay, very shallow bay, and a boat came onto the shore with some strange people in it, and the locals weren't very keen on them and tried to shove the boat back out to sea, but the
Oh
tide
my!
brought it in, and the strange people got off and made their home there. And one of them was a large lady called Bella Vawr, which means Big Bella. And there was another one called Shani Butt, which means Little Jane. And she reputedly had two thumbs, so they were stood out as being different. And the story goes that they would curse people if they didn't give them what they want, but they were
Oh
also
yes.
able to cure things
Mm,
and cure diseases and make good things happen as well. So they were tolerated.
nice.
So we're still proud of our witches in the village.
Nice. Very nice. And obviously, well, all of the UK, but Wales has castles, so we have a little spookiness there. That's something that we don't have in the United States. Um, and that's great habitat for bats, I know. Do you check out any of the maybe haunted castles and find bats there?
I haven't found any ghosts, but I definitely found bats.
Awesome,
Um,
awesome.
I actually live about 3 miles away from a small town called Beaumaris or Beaumaris in Welsh, which has a wonderful castle. And um, I've only found a few bats in there, but it's very, very difficult to actually find them because it's huge structure
Right.
with lots and lots more gaps than you could possibly imagine. But I bored my visitors that came to look round the castle by shining my torch at every little hole I could find, and until I found a little pipistrelle tucked away there.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and there's a group up in northeast England that have been surveying some of these big structures like that. So I think we need to do some more of that. There's old stories bats in some of the other castles in North Wales. So I think that might be a project for the winter to start looking.
Oh, very cool.
Everybody's so busy in the summer, but we may be able to do something in the winter,
Oh,
looking
nice.
in holes.
That's awesome. And I've been wondering if maybe that's part of the reason that bats are looked at a little more positively in the UK. Since those old structures are so common, like castles and old churches, and that's something that we don't really have in the United States. Um, I think maybe bats aren't as much of the culture in the US as they are in the UK. Do you feel like they're a little more accepted there than maybe other areas that people have a positive view of bats?
I think it varies quite a lot. I mean,
Okay.
in a lot of people, particularly in country areas, are just used to having bats around, so they don't really think
Right.
very much about it.
Hmm.
Um, if they there's an often an idea that bats like dusty old belfries in churches, and actually they often want to be somewhere nice and warm and clean, and particularly in the summer when they have not necessarily clean but not dusty old
Right.
cobwebby places.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so if you have a nice modern house and a colony of pipistrelles turns up and decides to live there, people are not generally as tolerant of it. As maybe they are in a big old house where you've got a huge cellar, and unless you
Oh,
go up
right.
in the down in the cellar or up in the loft, you don't really know that they're there.
Yeah.
And quite often people are just not even aware that they've actually got bats in the house, because unless you sit outside at the right time of the evening and watch them come
Oh, yeah.
out, you don't
Hmm.
always know, because they're good neighbours too.
Definitely, definitely. And actually, something that I discovered recently was that there was a children's program in Wales called Young Dracula that was award winning, I guess, and was on for at least 7 seasons. And that was something I found really interesting that it had a positive view of vampires, so that seemed to have more of a positive view of bats. That they
Hmm.
actually in one episode, they had a kind of unbeknownst to them, a characterologist showed up to study the bats in their attic, and the vampires were a little concerned that he would find out they were vampires. But the humans that shared the building with them were very excited about the characterologist showing up and about the bats being in the attic. And I thought that's such a different view than in the United States, because our vampire shows are very anti-vampire. Like,
Yeah.
like I said, in Wales, it was young Dracula, and he
Hmm.
started out in the first season at 12 years old. And here we had Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
So, for over a dozen seasons, she's killing vampires. And that was the more, uh,
Hmm.
negative view we had here. So I don't know, part of the culture, well, I've got Bela Lugosi here. In the United States, we have vampire culture that's very negative. So I think bats get kind of a negative association
I think
because,
we do have that as well, and there's a lot of ignorance of people just not understanding that bats are different, all the different diets that bats have.
oh,
And
right,
I can
right.
remember going to visit somebody who'd found a bat, and she said, "Do you think it could be a vampire bat?" And I said, "No, not in Bethesda, in North Wales. It wouldn't be a vampire bat." But people
Yeah,
just, that's often what people see on the TV and
exactly.
the stories.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot more education around and helping people, but when I've been to collect injured bats, quite often people have put them in a box with a piece of fruit because they think they're going to be fruit bats.
Yeah.
And we don't have fruit bats in this country because there's yeah, they're all insect eaters. But I
Right.
love the idea of a bat coming. I had one in a box that somebody gave me with a strawberry, and I just love the idea that bats might come down at night into your strawberry patch. And yeah.
I've definitely seen that a number of times online with the Good Bat Neighbor community group that I run on Facebook. Every once in a while, I get contacted by someone that they found a bat, and should they give it some fruit? And
Mm,
I'm no, those aren't the kind of bats we have in the United States.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but Yeah, at least in that case, people are trying to help.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said when you have picked up bats, you've done bat rescue then?
That's yeah. When I first joined the bat group up here, it was I hadn't been sure about doing the bat rehab. That was not why I
Mm,
joined the bat group. I joined the
mm.
bat group because I joined the bat group down in where I lived previously, down in
Oh,
southwest England,
oh, okay.
and um, and I just wanted to get to do more bat stuff really,
Yeah.
which could be the whole range really, I think. And I hadn't particularly thought about doing rehab, but it just kind of came with joining the group and the person who
Oh,
was
wow.
training me. We have a license system in this country. You don't have to have a license to look after injured bats.
Oh.
Um, you do have a license if you're keeping them long term,
Mhm.
but you have to have a license if you weren't going to disturb them or affect their places that
Oh,
they
right.
roost.
Hmm.
And I was training for my bat license, and it's quite a good way to learn about them, to handle them, is to look after grounded and injured ones. So I did that, and I tried to stop doing it really because I'd done it for about 30 years, and it just seemed
Oh,
like
wow.
long enough, really.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And I was getting slightly tired of doing it really. But it's a very it can be a very rewarding thing, but it can be
Yeah.
a bit upsetting sometimes when
Yeah.
you keep losing ones that uh, you've spent a lot of time looking after.
Yeah, yeah. I know we've met quite a few bat rehabbers from around the world, and I know how grueling it is, as I've
Mm.
talked to them over the years. And yeah, definitely give people a lot of credit that that have taken that on. So you mentioned the bat group. What is Gwyneth Bat Group?
It's one of I think it's 80 something bat groups in the UK, so they're based
Wow.
on an area, a county,
Right,
and
right.
Gwynedd is a county in North Wales, which covers the northwest part. Anglesey used to be a separate county. Well, it's still, sorry, it is a separate county, but it's we're all part of the same bat group. So
Mm.
they're all roughly arranged around the counties, and they're very different.
Oh,
They have different focuses depending on who's in them and also
oh, okay.
what people want to do at the time. And I
Right.
think we haven't been as active in the last year for various reasons. People have had other commitments, and it's been a bit difficult to get as much things done. But um, some people will focus on doing rehab. Some people don't do any of that at all
Mm.
and like to go out and do counts of bats in the evening.
Right.
We do a lot of that. We're part of the Bat Conservation Trust run a national bat monitoring program.
Oh, very
So they
cool.
have schemes for the different species of bats. Some of them you walk around an area. One of the ones I do called a waterway survey is what it says. You
Yeah.
walk along a waterway with a bat detector and you stop
Oh,
every
nice.
100 metres and record what you're seeing over the water. And you're looking
Oh,
for one particular species, the Dorbenton's bat, then that
oh,
feeds
okay.
over water.
Oh, wow.
And
Is there, sorry, I just wanted to ask real quick, is there a
oh,
particular monitoring device that you use, like a particular brand or a particular kind?
um, they're amazing things, and they just keep getting better and better all the time. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try not to buy too many of them.
Yeah.
It's very tempting when you've had one and then a new one comes out and you think, well, this one does something that that one didn't do. And
Yeah.
so I use two or three different ones
Okay.
depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
main thing is that they record now. I mean, the first ones we used to use didn't. When I first started,
Oh, right.
we had ones that were adapted from little transistor radios.
Oh, wow.
So this is going back a long time. This is going back to the 1990s when we first started using bat detectors,
Oh,
and
very cool.
you could be going along listening to something on a bat detector, and then you'd pick up a radio station.
My God. Oh, I
But
can't imagine.
yeah, they're much better these days,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they do record the sound, and some of them you've got little screens so you can actually see a sonogram of the sound, which helps with the identification.
That's neat.
And we usually record them and then look at the sounds on the computer afterwards,
Mhm.
just to confirm the identification,
Okay, nice.
which is easy for some species and not for others.
Yeah, we have the same problem here in the US. Some are so close together,
Yeah.
it takes a few people to keep looking at it and debating, which species it is. Well, that's great. And you did mention that that's part of a program with Bat Conservation Trust. And I know you were the chair of Bat Conservation Trust until what, just about a month ago?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
stepped down at the AGM and handed it over to somebody else. So I'd
Yeah.
been doing that for about, I can't remember now, 5 years or so. So maybe
Oh,
less than
okay.
that, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Um, and it's the trust is the board of trustees are made up of people who are not necessarily bat people. In fact, most of them are
Oh,
not
okay.
bat people, because
Oh, wow.
really you want people who know about finance
Oh,
and
right. Right.
publicity. And I mean, you obviously have people who work in the Bat Conservation Trust who have that as their day
Yeah.
job. But with the
Yeah.
trustees, you want somebody who's the role of the trustees is overseeing the charity and making sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing and spending its money properly and all those sorts of things. So we usually have somebody with a legal background and somebody who's a treasurer, and then lots of different types of expertise on the board, and including a few bat people. You need some, but not all of them.
Yeah. And for anyone that hasn't checked out the Bat Conservation Trust website yet, I'll put that link in the post. But do check it out. It's really neat. It's very public friendly. So
Mm.
there's a lot of good information for the average person. If you have bats at your property, or you have bats that you think are going to be threatened by construction, or you find an injured bat, they've got just about something for every bat situation you can encounter that's really helpful for the average person. So do check that out. It's a really nice website. And they have a lot of online events too, a lot of Zoom things that a regular person can do. And some of them are free, some are even more involved. If you're looking to get some more in-depth information, there's a little fee on some of those, but just really neat information. And one of the upcoming events, there's a Welsh Bat Workers
Yeah,
conference coming up in a couple of weeks. So what's that like? What's that about?
it's partly getting everybody who does bat work in Wales together
Okay.
as a sort of partly as a social thing. So you meet up with people that you won't have seen for a while. But it's also bringing the latest research papers, perhaps, that were presented at the national conference that people couldn't get to go to. So you're picking up on what's happening in the research, as well as finding out what's happening with the Bat Conservation Trust, what projects are happening in other parts of the country as well.
Nice. Very
And
cool.
they usually there's always a workshop or two, so you can do some training as well on the same day.
Oh, neat. Very neat.
We have in the past run Welsh Bat conferences where we had somewhere to stay and would do with an element of field work as well, which
Oh,
was
wow.
amazing. Unfortunately, the person who used to organise those was a guy called Tom McCowett, who, if you've seen any bat publications, you've often seen his illustrations, because he did the most
Oh,
wonderful paintings and drawings and book illustrations, and I've got a few of his drawings up on my walls. And sadly, he died a couple of years ago. But
no.
he used to organise these Welsh Bat conferences where
Oh,
you could get 80 or 90 people out for an evening doing field work in one
oh my
location.
gosh.
So it's just a really
Wow.
good event to have.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we
That's
still do
amazing.
those occasionally, or we may hopefully will still do some of those occasionally.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So you mentioned a lot of different species that you come across. Do you find species that hang around in cemetery areas, or anything like what you've got behind you?
Yes, this the picture I'm hanging around in the churchyard now is a place called Penmon Priory, which is just at
Oh,
the eastern tip of the island where I live. And we've known
okay.
for many years that there's a colony of brown long-eared bats there. They're
Oh, okay.
beautiful bats. I think you have similar long-eared bats in the
Yeah.
States,
Yeah, we
which are
do.
not related, but they look
Right.
quite similar.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, beautiful animals with these fantastic long ears. And we've known about this colony for many years, and we've been very lucky that the people who look after the priory have been bat friendly, because
Oh, good.
bats in churches can be quite a contentious issue, because the feces and the urine can damage any precious items that are stored in the churches.
Right.
But if you got somebody who's sympathetic to bats and will clean things up or and cover up the sensitive things, then you can actually resolve the problem generally. But this place has been we've been involved in it as a bat group for quite a long time, and it's been difficult to monitor the numbers there, because long-eared bats, unlike some of the other bats, don't tend to come out of the roost until it's quite dark and it's quite difficult to see
Oh,
them. So we
okay.
did a project some time ago to help advise the people who were doing some work on the church to make sure that they weren't going to block any entrances when they did some
Oh.
remedial work.
Hmm.
But we couldn't find out where the bats came out, but we knew that the area they're working on, they didn't come out, so that was okay. And then a couple of years ago, I got contacted by Yolo Williams, who's a wildlife presenter in the UK. And if you ever see any of his programs, Yolo's Wild Whales and things, he's
Oh, okay.
brilliant. He's really good.
Oh.
And he said they wanted to have a look at a brown long-eared roost, and could we suggest one? And I said, well, there's this one fantastic place that we know of, and we just never quite worked out where the bats go from here. So things have changed since we did the first surveys
Mhm.
there, in that we now have thermal
Oh,
images and infrared video cameras, which we didn't have
nice.
before at all. So we staked out the church,
Uh,
sitting in the graveyard at night with our
that's
cameras,
great.
and filmed the bats, and we actually found out where they come out, and we managed to get some footage of them inside the church as well, which was
Oh,
amazing to
wow.
see.
Wow.
So
That is,
that was a new bit of learning for us as well. And
oh, that,
we tracked them going across the graveyards to the group of trees, so we know where they come out and where they go afterwards.
oh,
That's
nice.
been really cool. And I'll send you a link to some little videos of that.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. Um, well, I guess on that note, I'll say happy Halloween to everyone,
Happy
and,
Halloween.
and happy Halloween. Thanks again so much for joining us.
You're very
Have a
welcome.
great night. Bye.